Roll tape. Mary Catherine Mantell,
Yes.
this is your life story.
Okay.
Mary Catherine Corrigan.
Mary Catherine Corrigan Mantell.
Yes.
Tell us about the Corrigans,
Well,
as far back as you can remember.
I can't go very far back. My grandpa Corrigan worked on the railroad with Grandpa Mantell, great Grandpa Mantell. And your Grandpa Mantell used to drive them both to work. But he died before I was born, so I never knew him. My Grandma Corrigan, her maiden name was Roach, and she lived right on Ann Avenue, right at Mary's Church, and right up the street from the police department, Kansas City, Kansas Police Department. And she went to church every day, and we used to go on Sundays and sit with her at church sometimes. She was always so thrilled to see us coming, and now I know how she felt.
You and me.
Yes, and us as children too.
Yeah.
But she was always thrilled, and now I know why she was so thrilled when we get to sit with our grandchildren at church too.
Where in Ann? That like
The
7th and Ann?
600 block of Ann. And then when they built the police department garage, they took her house for that, and she moved over 1 block onto Barnett. And stayed there until she lived with us at the very end.
Still left though, right?
Right there.
Nice
right?
view.
Just a block from St. Mary's Church, because that was where everything revolved.
Not on Strawberry Hill,
Not on Strawberry Hill, the other side,
the western side.
but connected. And she died on Mother's Day after you were born. And she would always grab your feet and say, "He's got such cool little feet." She lived with us at the time. Or she lived with my mom at the time, not us, because we were living separately by then. With you at Highland Park.
What about your other grandparents?
My grandpa Bertram came over from Germany when he was 6 years old. And only we weren't smart enough to ask him all the questions we should have asked before he passed away. But he had a grocery store at 7th and Everett in Kansas City, Kansas. And my uncle, whose name was Ba, helped him run that grocery store. Ba was older than my mom. His real name was Andrew. And Mom helped too. And we would go there and help Grandpa sometimes. And my
Here's something to
grandma,
drink.
Donovan, was born in Leavenworth. Grandma Bertram, her maiden name was Donovan. She was born in Leavenworth, and so was my mom. And I'm not sure where Andrew and Aunt Jean were born. I can remember going to Grandma Grandma's on Monday for washing and Tuesday for ironing. When we were little, they'd let us iron pillow slips and handkerchiefs.
Did you have an electric iron?
Yes, electric iron. But it was a wringer washer. And you had to use a stick to push the clothes through the wringer so you didn't get your fingers in there. And scrape or skim the soap off the top of the water in the rinse water. Thank you.
We too had wringer washer at my mom's on Sandusky. Do you remember that? We had 3 different tubs. You had a wash machine with an agitator. It was just basically a tub with an agitator at the bottom that would go both ways. I remember Mom doing the same thing, cutting up soap, ivory soap, in real hot water, putting that in, and let it use a stick and rinse it around so it melted. Then you put the clothes in there, And what happened, you swung the ringer around. Well, you left the ringer there and you ran it close through a ringer and wring the soap out of them. And you ran them into another tub, a rinse tub. Then you swung the ringer over, ran them through another one into another rinse, and then swung it around, and then you ran them through it into your clothes basket. So you
And then
washed
take them
them and rinsed
outside
them and dried them, then you'd take them out and hang them on the line.
to dry. The good old days.
That's right, that's right. But like Mary said, you had to be careful with your fingers, you know, so we had a stick also. You pick the clothes up with a stick and put them in the ringer. There were two
Rubber.
cylinders, hard rubber, about that big around. And push your finger pretty good if you got it in there.
Yeah. That's why I used an old broomstick to push it through, so you didn't get caught in it.
They were moving electronically,
It was electric.
electric motor.
But the ringer was hand done.
Well,
Ours was.
ours was electric.
Oh, ours was.
Yeah, they had a
Tried
hand
to squish your own
wringer.
finger in there.
Yeah. We had electric ones. I don't remember the gas-powered washing machines, but they had those too. I think
So it's
my
all-
grandparents, my mom, when she was a little girl, they had a gas-powered washing machine. Start a gas engine that would run it. But ours was electric.
My grandpa Bertram came to live with us after Grandma died on 17th Street. And I can remember him sitting in the chair and all the neighbor kids would come in and he would tell stories about things he did when he was like knocking over outhouses and stuff like that. And then all the kids would be sitting on the floor listening to Grandpa's stories.
And you lived with him for a while also.
We did live with him for a while,
Oh,
for about a year, I think,
you and
when
your,
I was 9 years old.
because for the whole family lived
The
there.
whole family moved in after Grandma died
Whereabouts?
at 558 Freeman, and the house is still there. We drove by it not long ago. That was a big, big house. It seemed big. It was really only 3 bedrooms, but it seemed huge to us.
So I wonder when he was born, close to the turn of the century,
hmm
probably before.
Yeah, probably before, because he died in
Sure,
60.
it'd be before.
He died in 1962 and he was 89 years old, so math.
Plenty before.
I need paper and pencil to do that.
Did your mom had brothers and sisters? Ba.
Mm-hmm. And Aunt Jean. They were both older than Mom. Aunt Jean was 10 years older. I don't remember how old Ba was.
Did your dad have siblings?
He had a brother, Tommy, who was in the Air Force and had 3 children. But because they were in the Air Force, we hardly ever saw them. They hardly ever came to town. We went out there once. They lived in Colorado Springs most of the time. He was a pilot, lieutenant colonel, and his wife, Aunt Margie, was from Canada. And, gosh, I can't think of her name now. They had a girl who was Laura Jean's age, Lee, and then Bucky, who was actually Thomas Jr. And Bucky has an interesting life. He's a rescue ranger in British Columbia, and used to be a ski instructor. And then Charlie was a year or 2 younger than me, but again, we just never saw him. And then he also had a sister who was my mom's friend growing up, and she died when she was 7 of a ruptured appendix. They didn't know how to treat him at the time. We didn't have a lot of cousins, so, and because they were gone, we never saw them hardly. The family we had pretty much. We spent a lot of time with Grandma and Grandpa both sides, and Aunt Jean and Ba.
What was your address? 17th Street.
705 North 17th Street. And before that, we lived at 1045 Waverly, which was St. Rose of Lima Parish, which is where I went to grade school through 4th grade. And Hawthorne Kindergarten was right up the street. They didn't have kindergarten at St. Rose. And Largene, well, the boys in Largene all graduated from St. Rose. And Jenny finished her 8th grade year at St. Peter's, and I finished 4 years at St. Peter's. And then Ward. Rah, rah.
The grade schools all went for 8 years then?
Mm-hmm. 1 through 8.
Were you a good student?
I was a good student. I liked school. My 8th grade teacher liked me. She liked my handwriting, which was a disaster for me. She gave her first A to me in handwriting. Because of that, she thought I should be in the honors group when I went to high school. So I went to high school in the honors group with neurosurgeons, psychiatrists, psychologists, obstetrician, gynecologist, and it was a little over my head. I couldn't keep up with them. I wasn't that good a student. So I got out of that group as quickly as I could. That was a struggle until I got where I belonged. But yeah, I was a good student.
Was it hard changing schools?
It was.
When
I
you
thought
were
it was
fourth
the
grade?
end of the world. At that age, I was fine, but it turned out okay.
Oh, really? 11?
No, I was going into 5th grade, so I think I was 10. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was 10. But as it turned out, all my friends lived on the same street, and we're still friends. We still get together. They were here yesterday, in fact.
Your St. Rose friends?
No, the Cathedral friends. When I moved to Cathedral, we had 4 girls in my class right on our street, and we all played together all the time.
So you met them after you moved?
Yeah, but it was a pretty amazing place to grow up because we just played all the time, and all the neighbors watched out for all the kids, and you didn't want to get in trouble because even if your parents didn't know, somebody would know and they would report it. So you had to behave. But we had a great time growing up. We had lots of good neighbors, and we'd have backyard picnics in the summer in our backyard. All the neighbors would come and bring food, and we'd sit out there all night. And usually one of the older kids would take us in a truck. I don't know if we had the truck, but we would go to the trampoline parks or putt-putt golf. All the kids about our age would go. The teenagers would take us and have a good time, and then come back and sit out until it was time to go home and go to bed. And we'd play outside until the whistle blew at 9 o'clock most of the time. I mean, we'd leave at 9 o'clock in the morning and come home for dinner and go back out until it was dark and had to come in.
So you had a 9 o'clock whistle then?
Mhm.
Could you hear it?
Fairfax.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because we could hear it too, but I didn't know you could.
Yeah.
Same whistle?
It was a mile away,
Mhm.
probably,
Yeah. Well, how far apart were we?
about a mile.
A mile from your house, come on.
Mhm.
I'll be darned. Seems farther than that.
Seems a lot farther than that.
I think so too.
I'm wrong
It's a
again.
mile from our house, yes. It was 7th to 17th. What to measure.
Was that an end of shift whistle that you were
Mhm.
hearing?
I imagine that's what it was.
Probably down at General Motors or Sunshine Biscuit.
I always thought it was from the East Bottoms in Kansas City, Missouri, at the packing house, but I have no idea. We could hear it too,
We
though.
thought it was
That was
Fairfax.
always the sign to start heading for home.
Yeah. Get home.
Well, we weren't too far from home, but
But nobody ever worried about it.
nobody ever
you
looked
know?
for you.
I mean, we'd be saying, who knows where. Ride our bikes all over town. And
Don't come home until the whistle blows.
Pretty much.
Yep.
You kids need to go outside for a while.
Go out and have some fun. We did.
Here, let me close that door behind you. See you later.
My mom used to have to push Ginny out the front door and make her go to school and lock it behind her. She didn't want to go to the school. I hate school. My sister Largina would be crying, "Come on, we're going to be late." Mom would lock the door on her and make her go. Oh my.
How much older were your sisters?
Largine was 4 years older and Ginny was 3. Larry was 6 and Dick was 8. 5 and 8 years. A lot of kids.
So Dick was already gone, maybe, to college by the time you moved to...
When we moved to 17th Street, he was heading to college, which was a good thing. It would have been more crowded because that's when Grandpa moved in.
Jimmy and Lauren Jean would walk you to school when you moved. Or before you moved too.
Yeah. And in those days, we'd walk home for lunch too. At Cathedral, we'd have an hour, so we'd all walk home. The bells would be ringing the Angelus, and we'd walk home and eat lunch and go back.
Was it Hawthorne School where Larry took you down to see the cowboy?
No, that was Heathwood Park. He took me to see at Buffalo
I
Bob.
thought it was a cowboy.
That was at St. Rose. It was Monty Montana. Came to St. Rose and brought his horse and did rope tricks on the playground, which was awesome because I always wanted to be a cowboy.
He was a movie star, right?
Yeah, TV star. I don't
We
know,
didn't have
in
TV.
movies too. Yeah, we did then. Yeah, we had the first TV in the neighborhood too. So all the kids would come in at 5 o'clock and watch the Mickey Mouse Club. They have kids laying all over the floor watching Mickey Mouse. And Roy Rogers. I don't remember what time Roy Rogers was on. But he was my hero until I got on a horse the first time. Then I didn't want to be a cowboy anymore. Changed my mind. Jenny and I would have just a piece of clothesline rope, and that was our horse, and we'd run around, tie up our horse, and go do what we had to do, and come back out and untie our horse and run around with our piece of rope. You'd have an imagination in those days. Not a real horse, not even a stick horse, just a piece of But we had a lot of fun just with our rope. Funny. I don't think a kid would know that that could be a horse these days.
No, it's not electronic talking
Right.
lights and a remote control.
Exactly.
And you said you played all the time with all your new friends on the street.
Yeah.
What'd you play?
Well, during the summer they'd have what they called recreation at Ward Field. And Mickey Brittenstein was the, can't remember what they were called, recreation leaders or something. And they'd have activities for us to do, like making things out of gimp.
Like a plastic cord.
Like a plastic cord that you'd braid, or we played softball. We all played softball for recreation. And then later I played softball for Mary Kay Nally with Jenny. I started out as the bat girl. Jenny and Largine were actually old enough to be on the team, but Largine had no athletic ability at all. And so they put me in to play because I was better than she was. And
A little bit.
a little bit is what Mary Kay Nally called me.
What's
And I
Mary
played
Kay Nally?
softball for a long time. Mary Kay Nally was the leader of the softball, women's softball league in Kansas City, Kansas. And
There's a field named after her, 7th and Osage.
yeah, down in
Armadale.
Armadale where we used to play.
You probably driven by it before. There's a cannon there. It's a softball field right down by, once you get off the bridge.
The same, I think it is
Osage.
Osage. There's
Right
a
by Kansas
Catholic
Avenue.
church right there too.
Between Kansas Avenue and Osage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We played softball for a long time. Jane and I did mostly.
Was recreation every day? I don't
Monday through Friday.
Was it?
hmm And then we also played, you know, girl things. One of the neighbors had a trampoline. We spent a lot of time playing on that trampoline. And we go to the pool. Roller skate, ride our bikes. We'd read. We'd all get books and lay outside in the grass and read too when we got tired of doing other things. There was always something going on.
Did you walk to the library?
Yeah, sometimes there. I did that when I would live on Grandpa's house at 558 Freeman up to Minnesota Avenue.
What were your roller skates like?
They were metal. They were the kind that had the hooks on the side that you needed a key to tighten them. They had a leather strap that went around your ankle.
Put them on the bottom of your shoe.
Yeah.
There was a key that you tightened down the sides and it
Crunch it in to hold it on
crunch
your
it in,
foot.
put on the bottom of your.
No, never had the fancy kind. But we used to go to the roller rink too. There was a roller rink up on 18th and Central. And we'd go up there and rent skates and,
They had shoe skates then.
yeah, boots. And we used
Fancy
to
ones
go-
at the rink.
Huh?
The fancy ones at the
Yeah.
rink.
And there used to be an ice skating rink too out at Wyandotte County Lake,
Bennett's
Bennett's.
Park.
And we would all go out there and Carla would go out there and ice skate too. And they had a pool at Bennett's too. But it was really weird. It was like they just threw concrete on the bottom of it. It would just
It was
tear
sand,
your
wasn't it?
feet up.
Wasn't it
No, it was
sand?
hard concrete. Yeah, never could figure that out. But
They had like a dock in it, if I remember right.
mhm. And I didn't even get in a pool until I was 9 years old. We were living at Grandma and Grandpa's, and my brothers took us over to North Kansas City Pool, which was one of the only ones around. There weren't
Yeah.
very many at the time.
We had done that too. The older kids would take us, which was an adventure,
Yeah,
because you'd have to transfer buses twice. It was Clover, North Kansas City. The older kids knew how to get there. You'd take a bus over town, then have a transfer, and you get on another bus.
bus and get
And go
there.
to a different place, then you had to get off and walk a little bit, I think.
Never did that. We always had a car. Dick would drive the car.
We never had a car, we always took the bus over there.
But the first time we went, I remember Larry saying, "Watch me do this." And I said, "Well, I can do that." And I did, and I took off swimming. And I've been swimming ever since. Went off the diving board the very first day, too. But I wouldn't dive, I had to jump. I don't know why. I was afraid if I dove, I would never come up.
What was that over there, North Kansas City?
Mhm. And then later, my friends belonged to Victor Hills and Meadow Oaks, and we'd go there too. And then Wyandotte Swim Club opened. And went there and swam on the swimming team and the diving team. That was fun. And spend all day at the pool. Get up and leave about 6:30 in the morning and be there for practice at 7. Practice till 10. Then stay for a couple hours, go home and come back after diving team practice and stay till 10 o'clock at night. I was pretty buff. I was burning a lot of calories. Pretty buff.
How old were you?
11 and 12. That was fun. Mr. Bean was the neighbor across the street who was the diving team coach. He saw me at the pool one day and said, "Why don't you come join the diving team?" Okay. And I did. It was fun. A lot of hard work, but it was fun. Never got really good, but got to swim in a lot of different pools because we had lots of meets
Shawnee Mission East.
all over town. Shawnee Mission East, and there used to be a Ward Parkway Country Club right by Rockhurst. It's not there anymore. And Leewood and Homestead. Swam at all those places and went to diving meets too. That was fun.
That's part about Shawnee Mission East.
They had girl lifeguards at swimming suits. We thought that was the coolest thing we'd ever seen because we'd never seen a girl lifeguard before. So we wanted to go to Shawnee Mission East or Prairie Village Pool, not Shawnee Mission East. We wanted to go there so we could be a lifeguard, but it never happened.
We made it to Prairie Village.
We did make it to Prairie Village. Yeah. Actually, two of the guys on the diving team with us tried out for the Olympic team, and that would have probably been 1960 or 62, and they came in 21st and 23rd in the tryouts. They were good.
Swimmers or
Good
divers?
enough. Divers. Ron Marsh and Earl. I can't remember Earl's name. He was a fireman. He was an older guy, but he didn't quit. He kept going.
What was your best skills in swimming and diving?
I had good strokes. I didn't have any speed at all. And we didn't have a very good team, so they put me in on relays. They'd put me in last because I'd always be in there all by myself. Nobody else would be swimming. And my strokes were nice to look at, but no speed. But it looked good. That was fun. Lots of fun. Loved the water.
Did most girls play sports then? You swam and played softball.
Mm-hmm. When we were in grade school, that was all there was for girls, was CYO sports and recreation. So we played volleyball and basketball through CYO. But 8th grade, it was over. They had nothing for you in high school. There was just nothing available for girls, which is pretty sad.
No girl sports at all?
Mm-mm.
No basketball, no volleyball?
Mm-mm. But we did that. We wish there'd been sports for girls. Jane and I always said we would have gotten a scholarship if we had. And we were the jocks.
You and Jane Druden?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's still a jock. She's a
Jane
good golfer.
Lindquist.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, there you go.
Jane Lindquist.
Yeah.
She was here yesterday with Janice Kennedy. Janice and Mary lived 2 doors apart. They were always together.
Yep.
I went to Minnesota with Janice.
Mm-hmm. With her family. She was an only child, so they'd always, well, not always, but when she got up to about 10 years old, they'd always take somebody so she'd have a friend to play with. And I got to go once to their cabin in Minnesota, and it looks just like on Golden Pond. It's a really cool place. It was a neat log house. They had a gazebo down on the water, and we'd swim and fish and take the boat out.
Took the boat out all by yourself?
Yeah, all by myself.
How
In
old?
the motorboat. 10 or 11. I broke the pin in it a couple times because it was a real shallow part you had to come through, but they were used to that. So that was fun.
Then you'd have to row back.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever was away from home. I did get homesick after 10 days. But it was fun. It was a really pretty place.
Bet you didn't know she was a fisherman, did you?
Caught a lot of fish up there. Caught a lot of fish when we went to Minnesota.
You did?
Drove up there
Mm-hmm.
for her parents.
Seemed like it took forever. Forever. And it was real foggy when we left in the morning. I don't remember why, but it was foggy for a long time. Everybody was on edge until the fog lifted. It's probably a 9-hour drive anyway, but probably more like 12 back then. We didn't have the interstate, I don't think.
Probably not.
No, not till Eisenhower came.
We like
We
her.
like Ike. We've ridden all over his highways. All over it.
Did you take family vacations?
We only took one. I remember staying with Grandma once when I was about 5, while everybody else went to St. Louis, and I don't even know why they went to St. Louis. But I stayed with Grandma Bertram. And the only other one I remember taking was going to Colorado to see Uncle Tom, Aunt Margie, and the kids. And really the only thing I remember about that was we went up to the top of Pikes Peak, and there's a building on the top, and there was a white fluffy stuffed kitten, that I really, really wanted. And I just kept looking at that cat. It was sitting in a glass case, and my dad bought it for me. And I was just amazed because that was a big deal. It wasn't a birthday, it wasn't Christmas, and I got a present. I had that cat for a long time. Got blue eyes. I don't know why that stuck in my head. But
It was unusual to get something.
yeah, it was, for no reason.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody else got anything. But I remember that cat.
You were the baby.
I was the baby. Not spoiled like most babies are. No.
She's still the baby.
I'm still a baby. Ginny asked for me for Christmas. She asked Santa Claus for a baby sister for Christmas. And Santa Claus looked over at Mom and said, well, we'll see. And sure enough,
Really?
she got her baby sister, yep. I don't know what Santa had to do with that, but you never know.
Any other favorite things you remember from back then? I mean, like your cat,
Things,
bikes, or
um,
your favorite piece of rope, horse.
No. Dad gave me a stuffed frog once named Fartodo.
Meaning me,
Yes.
not your dad.
Meaning, yeah, what was the occasion? It was August something.
25th probably.
There was something about the date. I don't
Your
remember.
your mid birthday,
I don't,
your half birthday.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
But Fartodo stayed around a long time too. I don't remember many things. We didn't have a lot of things. I got a bike, but it was a second-hand bike. Dad bought me my first bike. This dad bought me my first new bike. I was so excited a few years ago for Christmas. My first shiny bike. Christmas morning. That was a big deal, even at age 50, whatever it was.
62.
Might have been. Pretty exciting.
You were a cheerleader.
I was a cheerleader. That was fun.
You cheered in grade school too?
Mm-mm.
You played in grade school? Played sports?
Just volleyball and basketball.
In high school, they just shepherd you into cheerleading since they
Yeah,
didn't
that
have
was all there
sports.
was. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, 6 of you made cheerleading.
Yeah, and the rest of the class had nothing to do.
It wasn't like today where they have 80 cheerleaders, you know. Because there wasn't many sports.
Just basketball.
Basketball?
And volleyball. I mean, basketball and football is all we cheered for.
Yeah. Those are boys' sports, so you only have, 8 or 10 games.
Yeah. That was
With your heavy wool,
fun. Huh?
your heavy
Heavy
wool
wool
arms.
culottes. They were hot. Especially at the beginning of football season when it's still hot outside.
Uniforms are hot too, that
Yeah.
you wore.
Yeah, I remember the Nallies Fighting Irish uniforms were green wool with high socks and, then like knicker pants, and they were hot. Playing out.
I'm talking about your ward uniform.
Yeah, those weren't wool.
Did you have to wear jackets all the time?
Mhm.
I thought so.
Yeah, blazer and plaid skirt. Crazy things that stick in your head.
And speaking of your birthday, we didn't get your birthday on the camera either.
We didn't. My birthday is December 25th, 1948. Is that right?
I was just thinking, maybe that's right.
How'd you get along with your brothers and sisters?
We fought, but we got along. We live in a very small space. You have to learn to get along. We had one bathroom for 7 people, so you had a schedule, and you had a set amount of time. If you missed your time, you were out of luck, because You weren't backing up the whole schedule, so Mom always got up first. She'd get up at 5 o'clock every day, do her prayers, drink her coffee, get
Smoke her
cleaned up, and
cigarettes.
then woke everybody else up when it was their turn. Yeah, they hadn't got out. You guys probably can't even imagine that, can you? Start early,
I remember her reading her prayer cards, drinking her coffee every morning.
about that thick.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of prayers. She never quit.
She always had her glasses on a chain too.
Yeah, she always
She'd
said
take
she.
them up and around her neck, put them back on.
Yep,
I was one of her favorites.
you were her favorite, that's for sure.
Did she work the whole time when you were growing up?
Well, she helped Grandpa at the grocery store until, well, we moved in with Grandpa. When Grandma died, I was in 3rd grade. And, no, I was in 4th grade. And then my dad lost his job. And so Mom had to get a regular job then. And she worked forever after that. She worked over at 39th and
I don't know.
the National School of Aeronautics. She was there for a long time. And then she went to work at the police department in Kansas City, Kansas. And she loved that job. Lots of excitement there.
She had a badge and everything.
Yeah, she had a bed. Got to ride in the helicopter. We have pictures of that.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was. She loved that.
What did you do at the police department?
She was in the identification department and did secretary work. But
Did you organize lineups?
yeah, she just liked being in the hoopla that was always going on, you know, in the know on things that were happening, and she had a lot of good friends there.
She checked DNA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was the director of the CSI lab. Kind of like Grandma Katie always said she was a pharmacist.
Mhm.
She worked in a pharmacy. Mom was a policeman. Yeah, she was a hoot,
She was.
that's for sure.
And she liked her Chiefs and her Royals. I remember that too.
Yeah,
She always had sports.
Always a ball game was on.
always 2 things were on. She'd have the radio on, listen to one thing, the television on, watching something else. And I don't think she ever missed one of the boys' football or basketball games. Even in college, she even got to go to some of the out-of-town games. And Gene would pay her way and she'd go. She loved sports. She used to play tennis with us too. She was a pretty good tennis player. Well, something else we played in the summer,
Mhm.
tennis. Played a lot of tennis. We'd be gone all day.
Where'd you go? Clem? Heathwood?
No,
Yeah.
by Donna and Bill. I mean, Donna Orlowski's.
Yeah.
West Side.
West Height, yeah.
Yeah,
That gravel,
yeah.
they little gravel on the court.
Not really gravel, it was
Yeah.
real fine. I don't know what you call it. Yeah, but that's where we played. We'd take lunch and stay at the park all day and play tennis and have lunch and
Mhm.
come home for dinner. And nobody worried about you. It's pretty amazing.
West Height was a park.
Just a big open park. They had picnic tables and maybe 4 tennis courts.
Mhm.
There was a big creek that ran through it. Actually, on our first date.
Jersey Creek.
Yeah, Jersey Creek. On our first date, we went there after, I think we went to the drive-in, didn't we?
No, I doubt it. You go see Tom Jones? Is that a different time?
I don't remember, but we came back there afterwards
Dan and Rose, probably.
and turned on the radio in the car and we danced on picnic tables.
Makes sense. What
Yeah.
year was that?
1964, April.
That was our
April
first date.
24th.
I thought it was before that.
1964, no. Why that stuck in my head?
And this first date come to be.
That's 48 years ago.
He thought I was a hottie.
Still do.
I think Dan fixed us up.
Yeah,
I don't
Maybe.
remember how it happened, but
well, Mark parents knew each other.
yeah, my mom and Kenny's dad went to Ward together. They were in the same class, so.
Is that right? I
Yeah.
never knew that.
And then my Uncle Walt lives directly behind them on 17th, so Danny knew her. The families knew each other. I knew who she was from high school, because I knew Jenny, and Jenny was a year ahead of me. Mary was 2 years behind me, so.
It was robbing the cradle. Yep,
That's right.
yeah. Dan was backdoor neighbor, and he was at our house all the time. He'd come over every night and do homework, and we'd sit at the kitchen table. And Jay Vader was a backdoor neighbor, and he'd come over every night. We didn't get a lot of homework done, but we got some done.
Are you guys in the same class?
Dan's dad's age, so
Okay.
yeah, we were friends since 5th grade. A long time.
Danny's brother lives in their old house now,
Yeah, Billy and his family live at 705 now.
705 North
Is that
17th.
right?
Mhm. He keeps saying he wants me to come see it, but I don't think I'll be seeing it now. He fixed it all up, did a lot of the things that we talked about doing for a long time, and never did. The upstairs was where the girls' bedroom was, and then on each side of it was attic space, and he finished it all off. Made room for all his kids. That was a crazy bedroom. There was room enough for us to walk sideways between our 3 beds to get in bed. There wasn't much room. And it got hot in the winter and it got hot in the summer.
Cold in the winter.
No, it was hot in the
Hot in the
winter.
winter too.
Because there was a floor there and it just blew up there and stayed up there, so. In the summer it'd be so hot, we'd take a bowl of ice cubes up there and suck on the ice cubes to try and cool down so we could go to sleep. Our own air conditioning. Boys were downstairs. Mom and Dad were downstairs.
There's only 3 bedrooms, right?
Yep.
There's 7 people.
Yep.
There was 2 more bedrooms than we have.
Yeah. And Dick, like I said, was pretty much gone then anyway. He was
Yeah.
at college and then he got married after his junior year at college. So he was gone.
And so you were talking about your first date in 1964?
Mm-hmm.
So you were a senior?
No.
No, you were a sophomore.
The end of my sophomore year, the end of his senior year. Yeah.
And then what? What happened after you graduated?
After I graduated,
Yeah.
she stayed at Ward. I went to KU and she stayed at Ward.
Yeah. Wrote a lot of letters. We came home a lot of weekends.
Quite a few.
Mhm.
And you were still Grammy's favorite?
Yep,
Always.
yep.
That Grammy Corrigan and I got along good. Laura Joe. Yep. Then I went to, no, yeah, I did. I was going to night school and I got drafted. Mary wrote more letters for 2 years.
Every day.
Then I got out and we went to Donnelly together.
Yeah, that was the only time we
Yeah. One
had
time
a
we were-
class together. We had the greatest teacher in the world. Her name was Sister Scholastica. It was an English
boy.
class.
That's
She was
amazing.
wonderful.
Really smart woman.
And we sat next to each other. And I think the first day she looked at us and said, I don't think this is gonna work. I think you two need to sit.
I don't think
So-
we did, huh? I don't remember that.
I do. The only time we were in class together and she made us separate.
Passing notes is college.
In college. It was a small college.
I remember
That was fun.
about that is, we were in the same class and they came and told you your dad died.
Kathy.
My sister Kathy.
Mhm.
I didn't remember
And
that.
Tom was in Vietnam, and that was who I thought it was. I figured something had happened to Tom. And Kath, I don't remember how Kathy got into it, but Kathy came and
She
got
was
us and
probably
we
at the
went down
hospital.
to St., what was it, St. Margaret's?
Okay. When we left off, we kind of skipped, Dad had graduated, and you went to KU. Mom was still at Ward for her junior year. And then kind of skipped, I missed how this went from there. How long did you go to,
You were attendant at the prom, homecoming?
Homecoming.
Because I came back for that. I was a kid, I came back for that.
Mhm.
There's a picture of Mary, she was up for homecoming, she was an attendant, whatever you call it. And there was a picture of Mary and I, obviously, in the whole court, and Rick Perble's in there with a girl that Kathy Dent, I think, was in Mary's class. Didn't know it until much later.
We met him that night, but
Yeah.
didn't remember that until we became friends when you were in kindergarten, or first grade, I guess, first grade.
Yeah.
Small world.
So I came back, I went to KU and came back and started going to night school, had no money to go back to school. I think Dad took a second mortgage out on the house for my first year at KU. And so I was going to night school and they drafted me. I was working.
so you went to KU just for 1 year,
uh,
and then came back when Mom was a senior and you were at,
She was a junior. I was coming back and going to night school. And I was enrolled full-time, had the books bought. And they said, come with me. And I said, I've already paid my tuition, bought books. They said, too bad. What day do you start? In January, 12th, 15th or whatever. And they said, well, you're being drafted on January 9th, so say goodbye to your family, and that was it. So I was gone. For 1 year, 11 months, 9 days, and 4 hours. It would have been in 2 whole years, but towards the end, I found out that you can get up to 6 weeks out early to go back to school, depending on when the semester started. And Donnie was starting January 9th, January 10th, something like that. So I got out on January 9th, 1968. I went in February 4th, 1966. And Mary was still here. She was still waiting for me. She had graduated by then. So I wasn't around for 2 years, so I came home a few times. Came home after basic, then I went back to Fort Belvoir, Virginia for 6 months. But I came back once in between her for the 4th of July. Came back and then went back to Fort Belvoir, then got shipped to Texas. And when I was at Texas, I think I maybe came home 3 times. That last year. I wasn't home for my birthday, I remember that.
One time he came home and,
Wasn't home for Christmas either.
no, Auntie Lori and I were driving down 18th Street, heading to the funeral home. A friend of ours had died and we'd just gotten home from work. And I was driving and I looked in the rearview mirror and Dad was running down the middle of the street in his uniform. And I stopped and opened the door and all of the people around started home because he grabbed me and kissed me and hugged me, and we went on to the funeral home and came back, and that was a surprise visit. I'll never forget that.
From where? When was it, do you remember?
I don't remember where you were. It was a good surprise.
Sounds like it. So,
you worked. Where did you work?
she worked, yeah.
My first job out of high school was working for the telephone company. for $66 a week,
For 40 hours?
40 hours. That was actually decent money at the time, but when you think about it, that's not even $2 an hour. But it was a good learning experience.
What'd you do with the phone company?
I was a teller, took payments through the window. People would walk in and pay their phone bill. And then we also took mail payments and processed those, dealt with all the money. A lot of money. And Auntie Lori worked upstairs in the same building. She worked for an accounting firm. And at that time, Keith was working in the pharmacy right across the hall. But I didn't know him, I just knew his name was Keith. He was married to someone and Jenny was married. Well, Jenny wasn't married then, but it's just funny how that works out.
And then, so January 1968, you got out of the Army, go to school.
All right, went to Donnelly.
Mom was working.
Went to Donnelly a semester. That
Actually,
semester.
I quit working right then, and I started at Donnelly too.
That's right. So we both went to Donnelly.
We both
For
went
that
to Donnelly
semester.
that semester.
That's the semester we were in school together.
And then my dad died on the 26th of January. And I went another semester and then I quit school at that point. And then, what did I do then? I can't
You went to
remember.
work for
Yeah,
Nash
sure.
Flesh and
Oh,
Bolt.
yeah. The OBGYN's the obstetrician that delivered Jeff and Amy, Dr. Bolton, and Dr. Nash had delivered all 5 of us, my brothers and sisters, and lived right up the street. I worked office doing insurance claims and typing, doing dictation,
Pull up a little, would you?
filing.
Pull up a little so I don't turn and look at you. Thanks.
Okay. And then I worked there for a year until we got married. And then I worked until you were born. And then I didn't go back to work for a while. Not till I went back to school, nursing school.
How did the question go?
What question?
Dad popped the question.
Oh, actually, we were at Bob and Karen's apartment. He had set that up, so we'd be alone. Bob and Karen Weavers had an apartment down off of 6th Street, because they had already been married for about a year, I think. And Karen left the record player on with records playing. And actually, I don't even remember the question because we'd already talked about getting married, and I think we even had a date set, didn't we?
I don't know.
Because we had to plan it because of school. We had to do it in between school semesters, and he was going to summer school, so we had to get it in before he started summer school again, because we knew we wanted to take a honeymoon.
Yeah, the day I was gonna graduate from Donnelly, we got married.
Yeah.
Because after that semester, and when I got out, when we went to school for the semester together, and I worked for the gas company that summer, worked until August, and then I got in that car wreck. Guy ran a stop sign, tried to kill me in my Volkswagen. And that knocked me out of the rest of that summer, and then I went back to Donnelly. I was already enrolled at Donnelly. And, no, I wasn't enrolled yet, because I had to go up and get enrolled and everything.
You had your
I
brace
had
on.
a brace on, I was a mass of scabs. So,
Multiple contusions and abrasions.
that's right. And I worked, when I went to school, I worked at Newcomer's Funeral Home, as a night watchman at Newcomer's Funeral Home, Bob Sigler and I. And then went to school and we got engaged, and then that May 24th, 1969, we got married.
You remembered without looking at your ring.
I did, I remember. And the day I was supposed to graduate from Donlin, we got married. And then I had talked to the head of the co-op education program at Rockers College. Ed Noonan's his name, starting the co-op program. And I went over and talked to him and told him, I got out of the service and got married. He said, well, I'm gonna take a chance on you, I'll let you go to work. We need somebody to go to work the first semester. So I hadn't even gone to Rockers yet. And I went out as a co-op student, accounting student, and went to USDA. I think I went to night school that semester. I was enrolled in night school, took a couple accounting classes at Rockers, and went out to work at USDA first semester. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so
So we got married in the May of 64, 69.
and I went to work, and
Started a long career at USDA.
that's right. And we were living on $100 a month, and our rent was $82.
And we did that for a long
And we did that for a while, then she was pregnant. And then the
Then we
next
got a raise.
semester, in January, I went back to school full time. You go to work a semester and you go to school a semester. So I had been at work a semester at USDA, then went back in January when you were born, and went back to school at Rockers. And went back and forth until I graduated in 71, May of 71, for a year, and then,
But you did get paid for working when you were working.
yes, yeah, I got paid.
So that helped.
Helped a lot. I can't remember what I started at. Eight or 9,000 a year, or something like that. We always thought, when we were in college, we always talked about how much money you would need. And making $12,000 a year would be pretty awesome. If you
We
made
move into Mission Hills.
$1,000 a month, you'd buy a big house. You'd be on Easy Street, because that's the way the economy was. Of course, that didn't last.
And
That didn't last, but we did, when I was in school, I was on the GI Bill. So when I was going to school full-time, the GI Bill would pay for my schooling. They would pay us so much a month. They paid $175 a month, I think, towards the end. Seemed like for a while it was $125 a month.
that's right, about right.
And we were making it, but barely. And then when I'd go to school, I was making a little more than that. And when I was working USD, I was making more than that when I was in school. And then,
So that's how we survived.
yeah, I think
Every other semester.
towards the end of my schooling, I think when I was making, the GI Bill went up a little, $175 a month or something, and I rented. Highland Park was $125 or whatever.
After Amy was born, we moved to the 3-bedroom.
That's right, we were in a 3-bedroom house. We moved across the street from one apartment to another, went from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom
With a basement.
with a basement.
It was nice.
Dad was making
Deluxe.
$100 a month, but you were making $66 a week at the phone company.
Yeah,
But she wasn't working.
but I wasn't working then after
You would
you.
have gone back to work there.
Yeah, would have helped. But I wouldn't have been able to pay a babysitter on that.
So we just barely scooted through and made it.
No
Somehow.
one starved. But we ate a lot of tomato soup made with water, could afford to make it with milk.
That's right.
It was 10 cents a can.
Jeff would have starved to death if Mary hadn't gotten free
Free formula
baby formula, Similac.
from Dr. Co.
Yeah,
Where
From our
Jenny was
pediatrician.
working.
that's who it was from.
Yeah. Got lucky there. Got
Yeah.
lucky a lot.
Yep, and then I started making better money. Then in 1974, 75, Mary wanted me to, she was out shopping at Prairie Village Shopping Center and came back home. She said, let's go look at this house. It says for sale, and go look at it. And it was on the corner of 68th Terrace and Mission Road. And we went in and talked to this old couple, the Grindingers.
They were so nice.
A real nice couple, and showed us around and told us how much they loved their house. It was a nice little house, well built. We said, oh, well, okay, we'll buy it. And so we had no clue how we were going to come up with the down payment or whether we could swing. I thought we maybe could swing the monthly payments, but we bought it. We borrowed some money from Aunt Jean that we didn't report. You know, we said we had it. We didn't. It wasn't. We had to sign something that said it wasn't a gift.
Yeah,
That it was a gift.
it was a gift.
But it was actually a loan, and I paid Aunt Jean back over a couple of years and
Mhm.
bought the house. And
How
I think
much was it?
29,000,
I think it was 27.5.
27.5. And in 1980, when we moved to this house that we're currently in on 72nd Street, I think we sold it for 59.
50-something.
So in about 6 years, we made twice the money on it almost, double the value. We didn't have it, and we didn't own it, make that much, but we owned enough to buy this house. We bought this house for 79,000. So
How did you decide to move to Prairie Village? Did I miss that?
Mhm. Dad just told that story. I went to the village, saw that little house on the corner, and I said, let's just start looking at houses, because we didn't know what it was going to take to buy a house or how much they were. And
we knew
Dad
we wanted to
said,
get a
we'd be
house,
crazy not to buy this house.
and we would have been.
Yeah. So we laid in bed that night going, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? I don't remember what the payments were, $200 a month or something.
Probably.
We did.
Yeah, we did. We just did it.
Cute little house.
Did you decide then to send us to St. Anne's?
That was a big decision.
It was a
We
decision.
wrestled with that a long time.
So whether we were going to do that or just go to Prairie.
Because Prairie was so
Cool.
close, and
Prairie School was a good school, and Shawnee Mission East was a good school, so we wrestled with that for quite a while as to what to do. Then we finally decided, we might have talked with some people and
yeah.
spoke highly of St. Anne's, and it was a good school, so
We just went with it.
we decided to do
And it turned
that.
out pretty well so
And
far.
once Amy was 5 years old and in school, Mary went back to school to Johnson County Community College for 2 years and became a nurse, a registered nurse, and then went to work.
Mhm.
We moved in here in 1980. You
We
graduated.
graduated right before we moved in here. I graduated in May and we moved in here in September.
1980 is when we started our trips to Colorado. We took a trip together, the four of us went to Wyoming and then in Yellowstone National Park.
Yellowstone.
Stopped by Colorado and saw the mix on the way.
Yeah.
Then went up through Wyoming and up to Yellowstone National Park.
Right.
Grand Teton, stayed in the Buck Rail Lodge. Remember that? There's,
Where
That's where
Clint
they
Eastwood
filmed.
was with the orangutan.
yeah,
The
they
home of
filmed
the
Every Which
Clyde.
Way But Loose.
The home of Clyde.
Mhm.
My first job was at St. Joseph Hospital, $9.75 an hour. I thought we were gonna be rich. That was a lot of money.
I was probably making about that too. No, maybe more
More.
than that.
And I went in there to apply for a job and they said, you're hired, and I was, it was simple as that. Said, okay. So, that's where I started.
How long did you work there?
About a year and a half. And then one of the doctors asked me to go to work for him in his office next door. So I worked there for about 5 years. And learned a lot from him. He was a good teacher. But then the practice sort of blew out and I moved on.
The Gia,
Yeah,
Brahm Gia.
Brahm Gia.
Where'd you go next? Humana?
I don't even remember. No, not Humana. I did clinical research for a while. And,
Worked for another doctor, an old guy.
oh, Dr. Brown down in the village.
That's right, Dr. Brown.
And he had been Dr. Geha's roommate in medical school.
No kidding.
A little one doctor office. It was a big change from 12 doctors to go to one doctor. And after I got the place straightened out and everything organized, there was not enough work to do, and I could sit there all day and do nothing. So I moved on again. But he was a nice man.
Met a lot of nurses along the way too.
A lot of nurses along the way. A lot of good nurses.
Jessica.
Jessica was a friend from school, from nursing school. And they moved to Colorado as soon as we graduated. But we kept in touch, and we'd stop and see them when we were out there, and they'd stop and see us when they came here. And then they split up, but we still are in touch with both of them, so that's good. They used to always call us and say, tell us you're not divorced, because all our friends are getting divorced. And then they called us to say they were getting divorced. Anyway,
But Mary put up with me.
all these years.
Good thing.
A good thing.
That was the start of our knocking off all those states. Of course, when we were on our honeymoon, when we got married in May of '69, we decided we should drive to California,
To Disneyland.
to Disneyland. We had a special deal in Las Vegas. First night we went to Salina. Went to Salina, Kansas, and then all the way to Colorado Springs the next day. And then spent a day there, and then we went down southwest to Las Vegas, Grand Canyon. Then we went on to Los Angeles and went to Disneyland, and
That was the first time I'd seen the ocean.
that's right. But
And we spent a day with your cousins and your aunt and uncle.
saw my aunt,
Not your uncle.
Uncle Leroy.
Yeah, Uncle Leroy was there.
Mhm.
Dave was not there.
No, David died when I was in college. And we drove back.
And we drove back in a hurry because we had to start school.
Mhm. Remember, we had a Plymouth Fury, we called it Old Paints, 1964 Plymouth Fury. Had a huge engine in it, like 283 horsepower, cubic inch, 283 cubic inch engine. Man, it was fast. Remember in Nevada, there wasn't a speed limit, and we were always going over 100, 110. It was flying, a couple crazy kids just got married. She wasn't even 20 years old.
I was 20.
You were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we were going into Las
That's right.
Vegas
You were
on
20.
Memorial Day. And the shocks went out in the car, and we were hitting our heads on the roof of the car as we were going into Vegas. And we had to stop and get it fixed.
We did.
There were no seat belts then. Going 1,000 miles an hour with no seat belt.
Go, and you
Bumped
bump,
our
you
heads.
just bounce for about a mile. It was just like a roller coaster ride. We stayed at, where'd we stay? I'll think of it. Well, we were in Vegas, got up one morning and I had my golf clubs with me. I was thinking, well, let's go play golf. And went down and, yeah, it's gonna be like
$50.
$50. It's $50. Like, there's no way. You know, I can't afford ours. So I went back to the room. Mary was kind of not even up yet. I told her I wasn't going to go play golf. Well, while she was getting ready, I thought, I'm going to go down to the casino and try. And I went down to a nickel slot machine, and I won like $49, $45 playing nickel slots. We were in 7th heaven. We went out and
We
had
had
dinner.
lunch or
Had lunch,
something.
yeah.
Because before that, we just had a ticket that was good for
Yeah.
appetizers somewhere, and that's what we ate the first night. Because we didn't want to spend the money on a real meal.
That's right. Then we had a nice meal.
We had a real meal that night.
That's right. And Mary had a little red polka dot bikini,
I did.
two-piece suit, wasn't really
It
a
was a
bikini.
bikini.
Pretty small.
So was I. But I got sunburned
She did.
in all the wrong places. That's funny that you remember stuff like that. 43 years ago. We had a great vacation,
It was
great
good.
honeymoon.
It was a good time. But we knocked off a lot of states that trip.
7 or 8 that time.
And then when we went, started going to Wyoming
And soccer tournaments and
and Florida.
got them all.
50 states.
What was your favorite state?
That's hard. Everybody asks that.
Probably Hawaii.
I think Hawaii too.
Hawaii was beautiful.
It's just
Paradise.
so different from everything else.
Yeah, it's paradise.
Alaska was amazing because it's so big.
So pretty.
There's just so many mountains. But
was
Hawaii's
stunning.
just different.
But Hawaii was paradise.
Yeah.
Weather's the same every day, beautiful. Scenery's pretty. Had everything there.
The ocean.
Yeah, they have the ocean
They do
there.
have the ocean there. It was gorgeous.
We saw a lot of nice states.
All of them.
Somebody asked me one day, said, what'd you like the least? I said, Missouri. I don't know which one it would be.
Try North Dakota.
North Dakota, we didn't spend a lot
There's
of
just
time in
not
North
much
Dakota.
there.
About your favorite city?
Charleston. Or Breckenridge. Charleston's just really special, I think. And the historic places we went.
Charleston, South Carolina.
It's beautiful. But my favorite spot of all, I think, outside of Colorado is Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls was just mesmerizing. I could have sat there forever and watched that water come pouring over. It's just awesome.
I like Washington DC the best of all the cities we've been to. There's so much to see there.
Yeah, so much history.
We've been back there a number of times. Just recently, here 3 years ago, Kathleen Sheehan's wedding, 2 years ago. It was in December, wasn't it?
It wasn't cold.
That's right.
It was, I think it was the fall. I can't remember, but it wasn't winter time.
But Niagara Falls is pretty mesmerizing.
You had a trip outside of the States recently too.
Europe was wonderful. Of all of the places we've been, probably Zermatt is the most spectacular.
That's pretty
A
cool.
little town in Switzerland that's up in the mountains, right at the base of the Matterhorn.
That's a nice little town. No cars.
No cars. Just beautiful flowers everywhere.
Can you say the name of it again?
Zermatt.
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 Yeah. You're looking at the Alps all the way around. And that train, or that tram up to the Klein Matterhorn, which is the small Matterhorn next to the big one. It's just, it just takes your breath away. It's just so beautiful. And we had a hard time leaving there. We were up on top at an observac and they had to come get us because we didn't want to leave. It was freezing up there and we weren't really dressed for it, but it was just so gorgeous. You just didn't want to leave it.
The observation deck sits right on the top of a mountain, so you had a walkway around the whole thing. Small platform, no bigger than this room, but it was sitting right on top of the mountain. So you have 360-degree view. It was Zermatt's a ski town. They ski
Year round.
year-round up there. They were skiing then, but that was October, so
Mhm.
naturally be skiing.
We were on a gondola that held 100 people And when we got off the gondola and got onto this platform, all the people that were with us on the tour got off and everybody just stood there and, wow. Wow, that's all you could say. It was just jaw dropping. The skiers were way below you, and you were looking at the Italian Alps. You could see Mount Blanc or Mount Blanc, and I don't remember the other ones, but just 360 were Alps. Italy and Switzerland and France. You could see them all from there. It was
It's pretty.
pretty spectacular.
It was a special trip because of the sister city connection that we had to go to Austria, Linz, Austria. And the group of people we were with had a lot of fun. There were 40 of us. So,
Lots of cousins.
yeah, cousins and relatives, people that I knew. So the trip was set up nice, and a lot of good friends and good times. The Oktoberfest was something that everybody ought to see. That's something that everybody ought to go to. If anything was worth the plane ride to Europe, it would have been Oktoberfest. Other than that, it was an awful plane ride,
Yeah.
dragging cattle class, sitting back there and trying to sleep for
8 hours.
8 or 9 hours, whatever it is. It's a long flight. You get tired of sitting, can't sleep. It was hard, but it was worth it.
Absolutely.
Austria, Germany, and Switzerland.
And Liechtenstein.
In Italy.
A little
City.
bit of time in Liechtenstein. Doesn't take long to see Liechtenstein.
About as big as Prairie Village.
Yeah. But pretty.
Any tales you want to tell about raising babies?
When we first moved to Prairie Village, we were telling some story the other day when we first moved to Prairie Village. I had a splinter in my foot, a thorn. I had a thorn in my toe, I think. And I came home at lunch, or did you have it?
I had
She had a thorn in her toe. Anyway, I came home from lunch from USDA, I walked in, and she said she had a thorn in her toe, so we went in the bathroom, and I was in there trying to dig this thorn out. We hear this knock on the door. I think Jeff was probably standing there watching us, pulling this thorn out, and hear this knock on the door. So I went and answered the door, and it was our neighbor from up the street, Doris, holding Amy by the hand, and said, "Is this your little girl?" And we looked at, "Where'd you find her?" So she was out on Mission Road, walking down, getting ready to walk down Mission Road, and luckily she had been coming along right next to the house and stopped the car and stopped traffic and got her off the road and brought her to the front door.
We didn't win Parents of the Year that year.
No, we
That was
missed
how
out.
we met our neighbors.
We missed out that year. That was probably the first neighbor we met too,
Yeah, it
because
was.
we had just moved in.
Doris and Vi Lorenz. Yeah.
We're here!
The hillbillies have moved in.
When I
They
came,
turned out to be
when I
great
came home,
neighbors.
I came in the front door. Mary unlocked the front door and it closed behind me, and I didn't lock it, or she didn't lock it.
Amy
And
got
decided to just push right through the door after we
Amy
were
was
gone. Head out.
18 months old,
Yeah, she's toddling.
just barely walking, and oh my.
I was going to Oktoberfest.
Yeah, you were in October.
Going to the party.
Couldn't have been picked up by two nicer ladies, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Great neighbors. You know, parenting you have no training for. You just get lucky and fly by the seat of your pants. We got pretty lucky most of the time. Except for the baloney. The baloney spots on the ceiling.
Don't look at me, I didn't do it.
We were sitting here at the table one night, and I looked in the kitchen at the ceiling. I said, "There's a perfectly round circle on the ceiling." I said, "What's that from?" And Jeff and Amy were trying to cover up, and they started laughing. They were throwing bologna up on the ceiling to see how long it would stay. So there's big grease spots on the ceiling. my favorite stories.
That was a good one.
We did a lot of crazy things in this house. I remember all the hot wheel all over the house, going down the stairs, zooming cars everywhere, and the stream with Batman and Robin and Joker and Penguin going down, sliding from high to low. But the baloney.
Had a lot of fun in the house.
Yeah,
Remember Jeff and Skip playing soccer in the basement, kicking the ball,
yeah.
knocking the walls out of the basement.
I think John was involved in that too.
John was a goalie.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do his job, obviously.
That's
Obviously.
right.
Got a better
That's how he
job,
learned.
but wouldn't
how
have to
you
replace the
trained him.
walls.
Had to replace all that sheetrock down there.
That's right.
Oh my. Let the kids in and out of here. That was a good thing.
We had a couple of disasters at the old house too.
At the old house, the flood, you mean?
Flood, had a fire, didn't have a fire?
The fire, the bushes on the side of the house caught fire. And did the fire department come? I think they did.
Yeah,
They
they
put
came
it
to
out. And
Trip,
our
yeah.
insurance paid to put a new fence up.
Yeah, they paid us for the bushes, and there was
So we put the
enough
fence
that
up.
I went to Prairie Village and asked if we can put a fence up. And then we had to go through quite
Yeah,
a
so
bit.
rigmarole. It had to be posted in the newspaper so that if the neighbors were against it, they'd have a say, and
They didn't want us to put a fence up, they wanted to replace the
the
hedge,
bushes.
bushes.
And we didn't want to do
But
that.
we won, so we
Yeah.
put that fence up.
We did it ourselves.
It was
We
still there.
It is
all
still
their
there.
post holes and,
It looked a lot better then than it does now.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you seen the backyard? There's like 10 pine trees in the backyard.
Really?
Just dot, 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 dot.
There's
Pine
like,
trees
maybe
everywhere.
not 10, but there's at least 6. You can see the tops of them
Big
spaces
ones.
in that backyard. We had a lot of fun in that 60
Yeah, we
acres.
did. It was nice
Playing
and flat.
croquet and kickball and, remember playing croquet back then?
Oh, yeah.
It was a perfect croquet yard.
Nice and flat.
Mm-hmm. It's flat.
Played wiffle ball.
And we grew carrots.
And what? We did grow carrots.
Carrots
And green beans and
tomatoes.
corn on the cob.
corn on the cob, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. It
Yeah,
worked well.
that was a nice little place.
A little bitty house, but it was fun. Dad put a dark room in the basement, and then the flood came.
That's right.
And Aunt Mary and Uncle Dick took you guys in while we stayed down there all night with Jim and Mike and Maggie. Just waiting to see what was gonna happen. And then the next day, Uncle Mike's friend John McKessick came and pumped it all out.
He had a
Uncle Dick-
construction company and he showed up with a pump down the basement and pumped all the water out into the street. John Miller was actually the first one there. A guy worked with standing there with his hip boots on and a bucket and a bunch of money in his hand
Big
saying,
wad
what
of
can I
money that
do?
he gave us. And Uncle Dick Orlowski came down and helped clean too.
The building, or the basement filled up with water.
Muddy water.
Rush Creek water.
Not like I'd always dreamed of filling the basement with water to swim in. It was muddy and full of
Remember
grass and dirt. And
I was down in the dark room actually, and you hollered down, Kenny, it's really raining. I said, okay. Kenny, it's really raining. You better come up and look at the yard. And I came up and looked, and the water was about halfway up the yard. And I think, oh my gosh! And then start watching. It kept getting higher and higher. We got close to the house, and about that time, the sump pump in the basement backed up, and water was coming back up. It couldn't pump as fast as it was coming up. So about that time, we figured out that we better start getting things out of the basement. So I grabbed a lot of things out of the dark room,
The
cleared
new
it out.
stuff.
You helped a lot, Jeff, and Amy probably did too. Start carrying everything upstairs that would get ruined. And about that time, then the windows, the windows were underwater, and the windows broke. The windows broke in, and that was it. We went upstairs, and
then some neighbors came down and started moving some of the stuff in the house up to their house. The speakers and I
Is
don't
that
know
right?
what else, yeah.
I mean, we didn't know how high it was gonna get, so we put a lot of things in the front room. We were putting things up on top of
Things.
wherever we could,
Yeah.
people taking things out. And about that time, people start coming in from, had their cars stranded out on Mission Road. They were coming into the kitchen to,
They were soaked, they pulled them out of their cars
yeah,
before they washed away. It was a whole family.
yeah, there was a couple
Wrapped them
different,
in towels.
number of
and
different
blankets.
families sitting there. Finally told them, you guys, you have to find someplace else to go. I don't know how long we're gonna be above water here.
There's dryer houses up the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah, there's got houses up the
Up
street.
the hill.
They're nice
right up the
people.
hill. And they came back the next day and brought us a bottle of wine to thank us for taking them in.
And FMHA, or somebody, a government agency came and replaced the furnace,
Hot water
the
heater.
hot water heater, and
Gave us a low interest
That's
loan
right,
on
the
everything
sump
else we needed.
that's right. New washer and dryer. That was not a fun time.
That was not fun. I had just started school. Just started back to school.
It was 88, wasn't it?
77.
Oh, that's what I meant. Club 77, yeah.
Yep.
So we moved.
House never
2 years
felt quite
later.
the same after
2
that.
years later, we moved.
Our little castle had been breached.
That's right.
Never felt safe there again. Every time it rained, I worried about it coming up. Brush Creek fell in the basement.
So we went and looked at another house.
The second house you ever
The
looked
second
at.
house I ever looked at was this one, bought it too.
Okay, sold.
Yeah.
Pretty hard charging buyer.
Yeah, well, Randy knew it was a good deal. Randy Hartman.
And it was.
He told me, he says, you need to buy that. He said, I'll carry you. Until you sell your house, he said, I'll carry everything for you.
And he did.
Make it easy. He
It
did,
only took 2 months.
yeah, if that.
Mhm. And when we sold that old house, all 4 of us cried when we left. Do you remember that? We packed up and we were leaving and everybody cried because we were leaving our
Everybody's
house.
crying because you were crying probably.
Anyway, a lot of good times there. And even more here. 32 years worth in this house.
That's right.
The grandchildren were born here.
All except for the Texan.
We love him anyway. Lots of fun.
What else do you have?
Favorite activities with grandchildren, memories of grandchildren?
Oh gosh. Too numerous to mention.
Yeah.
They're all good.
Well, you did our childhood in 48 seconds, so you come up with a couple to share.
48 seconds? Oh, we had more fun than that.
Even I got reduced to a baloney story.
You remember the night Dad drove through the garage door at the old house?
I do.
Do you, Amy?
I do.
I'm being scared.
Although I thought it was here. It was at the old
The old
house.
house. You were scared?
Yeah. Timmy Toyota, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
That was our first new car.
Our
Timmy
very
Toyota.
first new car. We were so excited. Brand new car. So good.
That car was new?
Brand new.
And how many miles did he have at the end?
100. I think.
200,000?
Oh, yeah, over
Yeah.
100.
And Dad sold it to a friend and he put another.
Yeah. Gary Favreau, wasn't
Yeah.
he? He kept it for a long time after that.
Yeah. He put a lot more on it. So, I think it was $4,000. Brand new.
That's probably right, $3,900 or something. That's because it was a nice one.
It was a really nice one. A station wagon.
That's right.
Did it have seatbelts?
No,
Yep.
I don't remember which car had the first seatbelt. I don't think the Buick even had
I think
seatbelts,
the
did it?
Buick had seatbelts. But the rest of it, we used to set you on the side of the, you know, the bench seats, put a little chair that had hooks that hung over the seat. You
With
just
the
sit
back
right
of the
between us,
seat.
right in the front seat.
And it folded, the whole thing folded up. And it had a steering wheel right here with a post on it. So if you were in a wreck, it was just
It probably
Oh
would
my
have gone,
gosh.
would have been a missile
Yeah.
right through the
right through
windshield.
the front windshield. No safety back
Yeah,
then.
there wasn't anything safe.
Or you'd stand up and we'd just hold you. You know, if we came to a sudden stop, we'd
Yeah, you just
stick
stand
our
there
arm
in the
out and
seat.
grab you.
That was always the thing when you're, every time you put on the brake, if you're a parent driving, first thing you do
Still
is
do
put
it.
your arm out like that.
Still
To
do
stop
it.
the kids from coming, going through the windshield.
You guys probably don't do that because you never had that opportunity.
That's right, probably keep
Car
those hands on the wheel.
Nobody's in the front seat with me.
That's right, that's right.
You just do it to stop soccer balls, and
Yeah.
cleats, and
Everything else
Maybe
would
don't
fly.
hold the-
Watch what's coming behind you.
Everything that may fly through. What else?
About, what? Give me a topic.
Give him a topic. The children.
The grandchildren,
No, the children.
yeah, grandchildren.
Our children.
our children? Oh, they were good.
Mostly. Amy was. As far as we know, we never heard about anything.
We'll let them tell
Jeff, we
their,
heard everything.
we'll let them tell their own story.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. We don't want the kids to see that.
We enjoyed them.
We did enjoy.
I think they grew up halfway normal. With good examples.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The grandchildren have been pure bliss.
And I've been telling them stories for a long time.
Yeah. They always say, Grandpa, tell us a story.
I always tell them the same stories too.
But they don't care. They like them. Luke's the one that usually does it
Yeah,
too.
Luke's like there. So does, well, they all do.
Yeah. It's funny that we want to hear that about them, or Juju goes, ah. When we told the other day, Julia's first trip to Worlds of Fun, we said, how was it, Julia? And she was telling us all about going on the roller
Well, she
coaster.
could hardly talk. She's
Yeah.
one of like 18
And,
months
you know,
old.
she was just going,
Great big eyes.
Juju goes, ah!
Yeah.
Some of those things just stick in your head and can't let go. Like when Nick stepped on the cicada out in the driveway, he was just learning to walk. And he had a little bitty pair of blue tennis shoes. And he was just tall in the driveway and he stepped right on a cicada. And he just went, ew, he just kind of shuddered because it was like buzzing him, I guess. Oh, I'll never forget that. It was so funny.
Remember that well, because he was walking along and the cicada flew and just
Right
basically
under his
landed
foot.
right under his foot, and he stepped on it. And he just started.
That
and
was
then he
so
went
cute.
on.
Yeah.
It didn't bother
He
him.
didn't even know what it was. He just knew he got a buzz out of it. That was funny. Funny.
I remember when you guys still lived in Houston. Jeff and Chris lived in Houston with Nick, and they dropped him off because they were going to Chicago to a wedding. And we picked him up at the airport. You guys brought him out, and we took him by the hand. And,
You were worried he was gonna cry.
yeah, where he's going to cry. And he never even looked back at him. He started walking with us, holding our hands, and he never
And
looked
jabbering
back.
the whole way, just
Jeff and Chris were kind of
The first time they left,
first time they ever left.
Nick was just fine.
It was fine. He didn't care. Looking for an adventure.
Yeah, he found him. Jeff was saying the other night when Luke was born, they called and said, can you come over? And, you know, it was the middle of the night, and I said, do I have time to take a shower? And then I thought, well, that's a stupid question. Of course you don't. And I said, never mind. And Chris is going, nah. They barely made it in time for Luke. Number 4 came in a hurry. And Hattie was our best surprise ever. We never thought we'd see that. She was a bonus. big bonus.
You mean because Amy,
Because that,
having a baby?
yeah.
What was so special? I mean, the kids are gonna look at this, and listen to this,
Oh.
they're thinking, no, well, they
Because we
like
didn't
Hattie
think they
Beth.
were gonna have a baby.
No, that's it, man.
Hattie was a big bonus.
All the grandkids are special.
Oh,
That's the
gosh.
best job we have,
Ever
is
had.
being grandparents.
Yep,
It's the most fun.
for sure.
Our kids are lucky to have you around, I know that's
That's for sure.
for
Yes,
sure.
they are.
They haven't been around lately though. They haven't spent the night in months.
True.
None of them have.
Well,
Juju won't. She doesn't like spending the night. Nick's too big. The other two, that's been a night at the drop of a hat. The other three. We ought to do that here soon.
yeah. Probably should.
Yeah, we probably ought to.
Have a sleepover for the 3 little ones.
Yep. Well, Joey will be here. Somebody else is here. If we can rent her out. She's not making money that night babysitting.
Very cute.
But all in all, we've had a pretty good life together. Goes way back, doesn't it? What year did you say, 40? 60? April of 64?
Mhm. But we probably knew each other before.
48
that.
years. Yeah,
We
I
just
think we
don't
knew
know.
each other, but
Because you were Dan and Donna's cousin and
yeah, we know each other. We've
We
known
went
each
to the
other 50
lake
years
and-
probably.
you were over there.
Well, I knew who you were too. You were a youngin'.
Yeah, and
Anything else you'd like to share about your?
I'd do it again. She always asked me if I'd marry her again. And I never really wanted to tell her because I didn't want to spoil her. But I would. That's enough.